Hello and welcome back to episode 6, the last session in your boot camp. Congratulations for getting this far. So today's question is, how do I scale my business? Sure, if you're newer, if you're in your first year, you might not physically be ready to scale, but you've got to have that vision in your mind. If you want to go there, you have to know where you want to go. So at this point, maybe you've sold your mom a house, maybe your sister, maybe some close friends, but how do you attract people who don't know you from before to become your clients? And that is an ongoing challenge for the rest of your career because honestly, when someone buys a house with you and they're working with you for 2 or 3 months, you get to know each other, and sure, they'd work with you again, but how often does somebody buy a house? Statistics say every 5 years. So you're always looking for new people and how to attract new people. So I have a couple of ideas for you. And of course, it's important that you come up with ideas, test them out, and see what works for you. But number one good way is to always ask for reviews once you have worked with somebody who liked working with you. So, yes, even if it is your family, even if they are close friends, even maybe your broker or people who know you in the industry, it's not that everybody who has bought or sold a house with you has to give a review, but people who know you, who could vouch for your character. And if they will give you Google reviews, then you can use that to say, if someone reaches out to you or they don't know you yet, you could even put it on your website. If we don't know each other yet, check out my Google reviews and see what other people have said. And I do know a realtor who moved to the city of Calgary from the UK a few years ago, and his business really took off from just employing that one technique. And he just kept driving people to his Google reviews. And then he kept asking his past clients to please share their experience of working with him so that those who don't know him could have an idea if he's good to work with. So I think that's probably one really good way that you could ask for Google reviews and use those to help you get to know new people really fast, or at least have them feel that they could reach out and have a conversation with you. Now, this is all about marketing and marketing yourself. And I do want to recommend a couple great books. One by Terry O'Reilly, Marketing Lessons from Under the Influence. I interviewed him on my podcast, Mind Your Own Business. And I have to admit, I think it's one of the best interviews given. He was so generous with his information. And this book, this I Know book, is specifically for entrepreneurs. And so he gives really good advice on how you can create your marketing and promote yourself in your business. So that's a great book if you haven't read it yet. Then another great book is Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. And this book is a little bit more hands-on, walking you through actually building a marketing plan. And he talks, like all marketing books talk, about who is your customer, what is their pain, how do you solve their pain, how do you become their guide and their trusted advisor, and how can you talk to people so that they get this impression from you, so that you don't come across, cheesy or salesy. That stuff is out. Old scripts are out. Putting on your signature line on your email, I'm never too busy for your referrals. We've just heard that stuff for so long that it's become old fashioned. So you have to find the new way to market and bring in clients. And then another thing to consider is, once you have success with a certain niche, a certain kind of a product, you've had some success with some certain people, just consider if any of those past clients could be somebody that you could leverage. If there's somebody that is known well in the community, is a celebrity, is a leader in an organization, if there's anybody that has some influence of some kind, not that they have to be a celebrity, but I did do an interview with an executive coach one time, Keith Hanna. It's available on the podcast. You can hear from his own mouth. But Keith was one who was coaching Brett Wilson. He used to be on the Canadian CBC's Dragon's Den when they started that out. And Brett Wilson went through a bunch of challenges and he hired Keith to coach him through life and work. He really appreciated Keith's help. And so when Brett spoke, after having experienced a good relationship, he would always shout Keith out, say, my executive coach was Keith Hanna. Well, Keith's business exploded just because of the referral and recommendation of one esteemed person. So that also is a really good way to leverage any connections. And again, they don't have to be a celebrity, but if it's somebody, who's the CEO of a company or the president of the community association. So if you seek out people, you might discover some high profile clients that would be happy to give you a recommendation, shout you out, and those can be great connectors for building your business. And then let's imagine that most people will start with residential real estate, and maybe you've niched with first time home buyers or seniors. But usually, whatever's on your heart, whatever you love the most, you'll start helping people sell those kinds of homes or buy those kinds of homes. Well, after a few years, don't forget there are other avenues of real estate. If you've never worked in condos, you could begin working with condo buyers, downsizers. If you haven't started with first time home buyers, maybe you want to make a package and help first time home buyers. You could change up the demographics that you've been working with. You could change up the neighborhoods that you have been working with. And you could change up different industries. Say you came out of oil and gas and maybe you're the real estate agent for people in oil and gas. Well, maybe you can shift your focus to different industries based on somebody that you've worked with somewhere else. And then there's also things like if you want to help people buy vacation properties or investment properties. So there's really a whole world that could open up if you start thinking about how to scale and grow your business. Now, once you start having some inertia, some continued success, you want to watch for the benchmarks in your business. And one of those I heard at a NAR conference, the National Association of Realtors. They put on a great conference every year. It's always somewhere nice to go in the States. And they said, because they do a lot of studies and take a lot of statistics, that if a realtor is doing between 30 and 40 deals a year, then that certainly validates hiring a full-time assistant. And having been in the offices for almost 20 years of many small teams, big teams, solo agents, I concur. Around 30 deals a year, you're so busy that you're beginning to lose the life balance. And so that is a benchmark. If you're hitting up 25 to 30 deals a year, the first thing that you could do is hire an admin, either part-time or of course, virtual is really in style right now. And virtual could be for paperwork, for data entry, anything like that. But long-term, I will maintain that an assistant who comes into the office and hears you speaking and can help you like hands-on is really great long-term. But you could start with that if you're hitting the 25 to 30 deals a mark. Consider hiring out the one or two things maybe that you continually forget to do, or those things you always do last because you don't really want to do them. And then once you're hitting 30 or over 30 deals a year, definitely time to consider hiring an administrative assistant. And in the business model for real estate, you might be tempted to start with another agent to help you. But there's a book called The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. That book, which was written by Gary Keller and somebody else, he always recommends hire a full-time assistant first, where you're paying, 50, 60 grand a year, flat rate, salary, or contract, whatever, but it's not coming off commissions. Because once you engage another realtor, now you're sharing commissions. And an administrative assistant can really, I will say, and I have sat in the chair and then I have helped people hire. They can do maybe up to 70% of that work behind the scenes. So that's the best use of your time and money, to start with that. And then, when your systems are clear, when that assistant has the processes in place, they're sending out emails on your behalf, they're taking care of your CRM, they're connecting with clients, maybe scheduling showings for you. Then, when you are too busy to handle your clients, then you will consider either referring them out to another realtor, probably in your brokerage, who you enjoy working with, where you can trade off. When you go on a holiday or you're away for a weekend and too busy, you can handle their clients and vice versa. So you can start trying referring out agents, see who meshes with you and whose personality matches. And then you also could bring onto your team a buyer's agent. This would usually be a newer agent who doesn't have much of their own sphere of influence, but since you have grown yours so well, that you can allow them to take usually buyers for showings, because that takes so much time, and they can help do marketing, they can put out flyers, they can sit open houses. So you could have a buyer's agent on your team. They could also help do and learn some of the admin tasks, the important business best practices behind the scene. And then there will be a few of you who do want to build a bigger team and maybe have two or three agents, some who can help with listings as well as buyers. And you might employ them in a way and share commissions. You would have an agreed contract, and your lead generating then has to bring in so many um, leads and potential clients that you have enough to keep these people busy. So that's the key here. And I will just give one little caveat that sometimes business owners think if they hire more people that they will have more leisure time, that they're taking the pressure off themselves. However, I have found in the real world, when realtors hire more buyer's agents or more agents and admin staff, it's not that you find you have more leisure time, it's just that you probably have a shift of where you put your attention. So instead of maybe working with so many buyers and doing those showings, now you're doing more HR stuff. Your job becomes the HR department. I know I heard Gary Vaynerchuk on one of his recent podcasts. He's the author of Crushing It. Great entrepreneur speaker. If you can handle his language, he does have a lot of wisdom, but he talks about in his own company, has a lot of people working for him, and he has become the HR manager. You're in charge of the people, you're in charge of the dynamics, you're leading a team, you're managing admin, you are responsible for the culture. So your responsibilities shift if you want to go in that direction. But I can assure you that one good agent and a full-time administrative assistant, you can do up to 100, 110 deals. And at that, you're making $1 million, usually, depending on the price points, but about $1 million GCI, gross commission income. And, that's nothing to shake a stick at. So that is something that you can control on your own. Then the last thing that I've given you a lot of info here, I hope, but the last thing you want to think about is, what is your succession plan going to be? That was the last question on the business plan, which I hope that you've worked through, but it's something to think about every year. What are you going to do when you stop all of the selling and helping people buy homes? What is your lifestyle going to look like? And it's not that you're never going to do anything again. If you love the business, you might turn into a mentor. You might become more of a teacher. You could buy a brokerage and sit in that chair rather than being busy with the business. You could teach courses at your local board. Maybe you want to start speaking at real estate conferences. They're all over all the time. Every brokerage has their own conferences, and then there's national and international conferences. You might want to write a book and share your wisdom, or do some blog posts. You might want to host a podcast. So there's many ways to express and transition out of working in the work as much, and then sharing your experiences and your wisdom. And of course, a career well spent usually has the rewards of being able to spend time with family, children, grandchildren, much better than the children, much more enjoyable. You're just there to enjoy that time and maybe some travel. Maybe you'd like to take an afternoon nap when you get a little bit older and you've done a career for many years. So I hope that gives you a overarching view of how you can scale your business. It's work every day. It's visionary. You have to have the vision and keep that path in front of you so that you can see where you want to going. And if you do that, I promise you, you will have the maximized results that you desire for your business. So cheers, and I hope to see you on the other side.